Hi everyone, my name is Nellie Gustafsson, and I'm a product manager leading the Synapse Data Science experiences in Microsoft Fabric. And today I'm very excited to tell you more about our release.
In this video, we're going to take a look at what's included in the first release of Synapse Data Science experiences in Microsoft Fabric. Our goal with data science in Microsoft Fabric is to empower you to complete the end-to-end data science workflow to enrich the data for predictive business insights. And your data science teams can actually consume the same secured and governed data that your data engineering teams are preparing without having to move the data. Fabric is also very easy to use and developer-friendly, and we're including integrations with popular tools like VS Code. We also offer a rich set of machine learning tools, and this includes built-in integration with MLflow model and experiment tracking, powered by Azure Machine Learning. But we're also adding support for our rich, scalable machine learning ecosystem that's part of our Synapse ML Spark library. And last but not least, with Fabric experiences, collaboration across roles is really seamless. Now, let's take a closer look at these experiences in a demo. In this demo, I wanted to show you what it's like to get started with Synapse Data Science in Microsoft Fabric. So here is Microsoft Fabric. We're going to start off by creating a completely new workspace. Let's go ahead and give the workspace a name. So these workspaces are really lightweight. So you can create these whenever you have a new project, and you can actually have multiple people collaborate in them. Here you see the empty workspace that we have. Yeah, so generally very easy to just quickly get started creating a new workspace. I'm navigating to the data science home. This is a specific home, very relevant for data science practitioners. You can create models, experiments. You can work with notebooks here, but this is all Fabric, so you can use all the other items from any of these experiences. So we're opening up our empty notebook. To the left here, you can see that I can add a lakehouse. So for example, if I want to work with data that I have in either a lakehouse someone shared with me, I can add an existing one, or I can create just a new one if I just want to start fresh. So we are creating a new one here. You just give it a name and you create it. And the nice thing about this is that once you've added some data to this, or maybe let's say your data engineering team have shared something with you, you can just use it from various different workspaces. So it's not just tied to this particular workspace. All right, so I didn't have to pre-provision any compute here before starting. Just notice that I can just immediately start running code. The startup time here is very, very quick. And I can basically run this code to load some sample data, in this case, a Titanic data set. But I can also work in VS Code if I prefer that. So you don't always have to work in this experience if you prefer something else. We have a really good VS Code integration there. All right, so I have now this data frame. And if I navigate to the Data tab, I wanted to show you an experience we call Data Wrangler. That's a really nice experience where you can actually get an overview of your data frames and you can apply operations here. And what you get from this experience is a reproducible code. So this experience is specifically targeting Python users. Currently it supports pandas data frames, and you can see here that in the Titanic dataset, we have some columns here that have a lot of missing values. So this is a good way for you to detect issues in your dataset, but also be able to clean the data to prep the data. There's tons of operations here you can explore. In this case, we can, for example, go and replace all the missing values with a particular value. And then you can see the code, the preview of the code right here. And you can actually apply the change and see the results directly in this grid. And when you're happy, you can do lots of operations on top of each other. You can add the code back to your notebook, and then you can just run this cell to apply the changes to your data frames. So very, very easy to use experience, regardless of how much coding experience you have. And Spark data frame support for Data Wrangler will be added soon. Now let's add another code cell. You can install libraries right here from the code cells, which is very convenient. You can also do it from the workspace settings if you want to have libraries that are always present whenever you open up a notebook and you don't have to install them. You can do that from workspace level. But we did install a library here called Dabble, and I'm just showing you how easily you can install third-party libraries right here with a pip install and then use them, for example, in this case, for data exploration. All right, let's rename this notebook to a Get Started with Data Science name that we can find later on, and then we can navigate back to the workspace. And here you can now see that the notebook that we just created is there. You can also see Lakehouse that we created and a SQL endpoint that comes along with it, and a Power BI dataset that is automatically generated for you. And this is what makes it so convenient to work here in Fabric, that you automatically get those data sets and Power BI can automatically read the data that you processed in the Lakehouse. Now, if we look at the samples that we have available to get started, you could actually go and select one of these samples and quickly get started with that as well. We're going to keep on adding more and more of these samples. So in this case, it's attached to the Lakehouse that I just created. I pre-attached this prior to the session, and I ran all the cells here. The problem we're solving in this notebook is that we are going to classify fraudulent transactions. So it's a classification problem. But the nice thing about these notebooks is that it's a complete end-to-end notebook. So you'll be able to see everything from the very beginning with loading data, data prep, and all of that, all the way down to machine learning model training, logging the experiments and runs, and getting the predictions out that you write back to the Lakehouse. And what you see here in the Lakehouse is that since we ran all the cells, we also have the data, the credit card transaction data in the Lakehouse. And that's the data that we downloaded, and that's the data that we're loading now and processing and cleaning and prepping before we start training our fraud detection machine learning models. We're going to use LightGBM to solve this classification problem. And you can use the standard data science tools and libraries that you're used to. Also here in this Microsoft Fabric experience for data science. Now, one of the core data science features that I wanted to highlight here in this demo is the fact that we support standard MLflow APIs built in out of the box for you to use right here from the notebooks. So for example, you can just use standard MLflow APIs here. You can set the experiment, you can log your runs, the run metrics, you can log your models in the workspace. And this allows you to be able to much more easily track your different experiments and iterations as a data scientist. And here we're also using our Predict Transformer, a really scalable way to run your batch predictions. It's another feature that we are offering as part of our data science experience here. And you could just easily write these predictions back into a folder in the Lakehouse, in Parquet files in this case, and use these predictions directly from Power BI. And the new Direct Lake mode in Power BI would basically give you this access directly over your files in the lake. Really seamless, no loads, no refreshes of the data sets. And to automate this, you simply schedule the notebook. You can run this notebook as part of a data pipeline, or you can run the code in a Spark job. Lots of options there for operationalization. Now let's head back to the workspace and look at the model and experiment items that we created. Because the thing is that when you create an experiment, it actually becomes an item in your workspace. So here we open up the experiment. You can see here that we have two different runs. They have randomly generated names, but you can rename them. You can look at the metrics. You can also go ahead and compare runs right here. And this is a very common requirement for data science practitioners to be able to compare and evaluate different runs and kind of see, which one was the best one. So what I'm showing off here is just the fact that you can customize some of these visualizations. You can also use the filtering to the right here to filter it. Let's say if you have 100 runs, you might want to filter out. Similarly, we can go back to our workspace. We can open up the model item, which is another type of item in your workspace, and you can apply these models, for example, from notebooks today, but we're also going to add support for applying models from various different experiences all over Microsoft Fabric. Imagine you can apply models here in data flows, for example. That's something that we're working on. And with this, we conclude our walkthrough.
I really hope this was useful and that you now have a better understanding of our initial set of data science experiences in Microsoft Fabric. There's a lot that we did not cover, so expect more videos and content from myself and my team as we deep dive into features and also cover our exciting roadmap ahead. We'll post links so that you can learn more, and I want to thank you for watching.